What's up guys, it's Rogue2 here and welcome back to yet another amazing video on the channel. So for today, with the release of the Albaz Strike structure deck, I have brought to you the best possible deck that you can make with 3 of them. Now, this is something I've been wanting to do because a lot of people have been buying the structure deck. It's one of the most popular structure decks I think that Konami have done in a very, very long time. I hope that it does bring a lot of new players out into the game, and if you are a new player and you do see this video, make sure you do watch it and see this deck profile. I'll be explaining to you why I picked the cards and how you can be improving it in the future as you go into tournaments and go upgrading your deck. So without any further ado, we're going to get straight into this amazing deck profile. But if you are new around here, make sure you do hit that subscribe button for more amazing content like this. It is once or twice a week that we will be posting now, so make sure you are around for that. So I hope you guys enjoy this profile and I'll catch you right now. So starting off with this amazing deck profile here, we are of course playing 40 cards. We're going to be starting off with triple of the Spriggan's kit. Remember, this is only going to be involving cards that do come in the structure deck, guys. So 3 kit is absolutely essential in my opinion, because on normal or special summon, she has the ability to add you any of your branded spells or traps. And that is absolutely insane, guys, because you want to be getting your branded fusion, which is pretty much the heart and soul of the deck. You do got to place a card back into your deck, but it doesn't matter because a card like branded fusion gives you so much advantage. And if you already have branded fusion, you can get stuff like the traps for extra disruption during your opponent's turn. And it does have the ability to special summon itself as long as you have a fusion monster that mentions Fallen of Albaz. So that is really, really cool. For a 2 of here, we have double Fallen of Albaz. So the reason we're playing Fallen of Albaz is going second, he's a great board breaker, but also you need his name in the deck for your branded fusion. So if you don't know, branded fusion basically summons a fusion type monster from your extra deck that has Fallen of Albaz listed on it as its material. So this is the exact reason why you need to be playing Fallen of Albaz. I'm not playing 3 Fallen of Albaz because it can be very bricky if you are going first. Going second, it's a really good board breaker card. It's essentially a super poly. You do have to discard a card, but you do have a lot of this deck does get cards back to its hand relatively easily. Moving on for another 2 of here, we have double of the Summoner Monk. Now I'm playing 2 Summoner Monk because essentially I want to be getting access to my kit as often as possible. If you don't know what Summoner Monk does, is when it's normal summon, you can change it to defense. Basically discard a spell and it special summons a level 4 monster from your deck. It can't attack the turn, but you're going to be getting your kit, and that's going to give you your fusion, and you're going to be able to kickstart your fusion plays that way. So double Summoner Monk is really, really cool. For a 1 of here, we have 1 Albion the Shrouded Dragon. We're playing 1 of him because he grants you the ability to dump your traps from the deck to the grave, and then you can banish them for their extra effects. And also he's another Fallen of Albaz, so it's like we are playing 3 because he counts as Fallen of Albaz when on the field or in the grave. And for another 1 of here that we are playing the Artifact Scythe. Yes, I know that this card is really degenerate, but we won't be popping it. The only way we're going to be summoning our Scythe is from the graveyard, which we can send it with branded fusion, which is why I am playing the 1 of. And then we are going to be basically monster reborning it back during the opponent's turn with a trap that we are playing, and we are going to be locking them out of the extra deck C. So I don't think Scythe is that crazy in a deck like this, but it is a really good floodgate that you can hit on your opponent and it will buy you a turn. Moving on to the hand traps, guys, we have triple of the new Tri-Brigade card. Now this basically is if you control a fusion monster that lists Fallen of Albaz, it's basically a quick effect, negate a monster effect essentially. So it's really cool. And if it is banished, it can add you a monster that mentions Fallen of Albaz in its name, so it can get you your kit, and that is why we're playing 3 of it. I think it's really nice. It's unfortunately a once per turn, but we don't mind really seeing multiple copies for multiple negations. Something that is a once per turn though is the triple Effect Veiler. Now we all know what Effect Veiler does. During the main phase, send it to the grave, and then target an effect monster and negate its effects. And it isn't once per turn, which is really, really important. So if you draw 3, you can negate 3 monster effects during opponent's turn. Really, really nice card. And for the final hand traps, so we are playing 9. The structure deck does bring a nice amount of hand traps, which is really, really important in this meta. We're playing triple Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. This card is probably one of the MVPs of the format. Ghost Ogre has the ability to hit many decks like Prank Kids, Brave Prank Kids, and things like that. And it basically, if a card that is already in the field activates effect, like a spell or trap, you can negate it and it basically kills it. Or if a monster activates its effect, you can just kill it as well. So it's really, really cool card, and we're playing 3 of it. Brings a total to 9 hand traps in the deck, which I think is a really good number, but we're also playing some board breaking cards that we will get to in a moment. Moving on to the spells, we are of course playing triple of the Branded Fusion. This is basically the new Shaddoll Fusion, but better. If you don't know what this does, you fusion summon a monster that lists Fallen of Albaz with material straight from the deck. You don't need anything from your hand. You can't special summon monsters from the extra deck except fusions, but this is completely a fusion deck, so we basically don't care about that restriction. And if they do negate this, say they Solemn Judgment it and they negate the activation, you will be able to activate it again, because you can only activate one Branded Fusion per turn, but if they do negate it with like something that negates the activations, you'll be able to activate it again. If you Ash it, sadly, you can't activate a second one because Ash negates the effects and not the activations, but Branded Fusion is an absolutely insane card and you want access to this card at all times. For another 3 of that we do have in this deck, we have triple Pot of Extravagance. Now this is basically an insane card and it finally got the common print that it does deserve for those budget players. Budget players are now rejoicing at this. And it's a really good deck. It's a really good card in this deck because we are provided with 3 of all the fusion monsters, so there's no reason not to play Pot of Extravagance. It's essentially just a draw 2. And when you are playing in sort of like a structure deck sealed format where you only have really 3 structure decks to work with, I feel like cards like Pot of Extravagance are really important to get you that card advantage. For another 3 of we're playing is triple Dark Ruler No More, another card that actually got its second common print. It was printed in common as well in a different structure deck, but they've decided to reprint it again, which is nice because even the common versions were really expensive. Now we got the second common print here. We're playing 3 of it. This is probably one of, if not the best board breaking card in my opinion, because it just negates the effects of all face-up monsters your opponent controls. They take no damage, but that's okay because this is more of a control deck. And basically neither player can activate monster effects in response to this card's activation, guys. So they can't negate this with a monster effect, which is why it's absolutely insane. You negate their field and then you can start breaking apart their board. For 1 obviously we're playing 1 Fusion Substitute, 1 Branded in White, and 1 Branded Lost. So basically this is a poly, but if it is in the grave you can put a fusion back to the extra deck and draw cards, so there's a bit of recyclability. Branded in White is a really cool card because it lets you ban it. It's basically a poly, but if you are using Fallen of Albaz, it lets you banish materials from the grave, so it's also like an invocation. And during the end phase, if the card is in the graveyard because it was sent there to activate Fallen of Albaz, it basically was like discarded for Fallen of Albaz effect, you can set this card, so it does recur itself, which is really nice and helps mitigate the the pitching of Fallen of Albaz. Now Branded Lost is a really cool card. We're only playing 1 of it because on it by its own it doesn't actually do a thing, but Branded Lost, if you've ever read Magical Meltdown, is exactly the same. They can't basically negate your fusion summons or like respond to fusion summon monsters effects during like the fusion summon window. I know it's really confusing, but it's essentially just makes your fusions basically unnegatable. You can Ash them, but you can't like negate the actual fusion summon itself. And if a fusion summon monster is summoned, you can add a Fallen of Albaz or 1 monster that mentions it from your deck to your hand. So it does search your kit as well. Really cool card, and it's continuous as well. So I think we only need to be playing 1 of this card, but it is really nice. And for the last spell, we're playing 1 Call by the Grave. I would be playing 3 of this, but this is at 1. It's just hand trap protection, protects you from the Ash Blossom, and allows you to get that Branded Fusion successfully through. Moving on for the traps now, we have double of the Branded Retribution. Now this card is a really cool card. When a spell trap or monster effect is activated, that includes the effect to special summon a monster, so Branded Fusion, Shaddoll Fusion, Invocation, things like that. You can return to the extra deck 1 face-up fusion monster you control, or 2 fusion monsters in your graveyard, which this deck will be able to do that mentioned Fallen of Albaz material, and you can negate the activation and destroy that card. But the really cool effect of this is you can banish this card, target a branded spell or trap, and it adds it back to your hand, guys. So if this is in your grave with the Branded Fusion, you can banish this card, get your Branded Fusion back to your hand, and then immediately activate it again. So that is why I'm playing 2 Branded Retribution. For another trap I'm playing at 2, we're playing double of the D-Barrier. This card is extremely versatile, guys. The ability to just shut off Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, or Pendulum monsters is insane. It doesn't do Link, sadly, but in this format is quite diverse, so you will be able to get a lot of advantage out of a card like this, and it's actually one of the best counters to your deck. So yeah, really cool that they gave you that in the structure deck. We're playing double back to the front. Now this is the way you're going to be summoning back your Scythe. So if you send Scythe to the grave through Branded Fusion, you can then set your back to the front, and then during your opponent's turn, activate it, reborn your Scythe. So back to the traps, my camera battery did die, guys, but as I was explaining, back to the front, we'll be able to reborn your Scythe, and then you can effectively floodgate your opponent for 1 turn, which is a really good thing. And then for the last 2 traps we are playing, it is of course double Warning Point. If you don't know what this card is, it's sort of a hybrid of Imperm and No Material. If you don't know what No Material is, essentially it's a card that when your opponent summons a monster, you discard it and then it can't be used for any sort of summon. Warning point's the same. When a monster is summoned, this turn that face a monster cannot attack, its effects are negated. Also, it cannot be used as material for fusion, synchro, Xyz, or link. So really versatile card, and that's why we're playing 2. I just felt like playing 2 of all the trap gives you a lot of versatility. And now we'll be moving on to the extra. So starting off the extra deck, we can make this very quick. We are of course playing Pot of Extravagance, so we are maxing out on most of them. This is the new card, Mirror Jade, the Ice Blade Dragon. He is the reason the deck is really good now. If you don't know what he does, is he takes 1 Fallen of Albaz and either Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, or Link monster, so relatively easy to make in this deck. And he's basically on a quick effect. You can send a fusion monster from your extra deck to the grave, which is good because it will proc the effects on the end phase of most of them. And you can non-target banish a card from the field. That's really cool. And if it is outed during the end phase, it regecks your opponent's board. So I feel that's a really cool card. And we're also playing triple of the Lubellion, the Searing Dragon. If you don't know what he does, is he essentially just polys from the grave, shuffling back. It's basically like a Miracle Fusion, and makes you your Ice Blade Dragon. So that's really cool. No end phase effect on him, but the rest will do. We have triple of the Albion, the Branded Dragon. We can make Albion to make Lubellion to then make the Ice Blade Dragon. They all really just make each other. And then during the end phase, if he is sent there, he can set a branded spell or trap from your deck to the grave. Set from your deck to the field, which is really cool because you can get your traps and branded fusion and things like that. Moving on for a 2-offer now, we have double Titanic Lad, the Ash Dragon. He's really good to summon with your Fallen of Albaz. He takes 1 Fallen of Albaz and any monster with 2,500 or more attack. So he's really good, like super poly target, you can say, which Fallen of Albaz is. And during the end phase, it allows you to add either another Fallen of Albaz or a Dogmatica. We aren't playing Dogmaticas as we are only using the structure deck, but he is a really good target for your Fallen of Albaz. Double of Sprint, the Iron Dash Dragon. We're also playing him because he's really good in the grave. In the grave, you basically can either add to your hand or special summon a Spriggans, which is your Spriggans kit, which gets you access to the entire deck, or a Fallen of Albaz, so really cool. And then we have playing 2 Brigand, the Glory Dragon, for the same reason that he is good in the grave. If you send him to the grave, you can have a Tri-Brigade card, which is your hand trap is one of the Tri-Brigade cards, so it allows you to essentially add the hand trap to your hand for protection. So that is the end of the video, guys. I hope you guys did enjoy my take on what 3 structure decks of Fallen of Albaz Strike can make you. If you guys do have any different suggestions, please do leave it down in the comments down below. I enjoy reading every single comment, good or bad, and I always reply to all of them. So I'm Roguetier, and I'll be catching you in the next video. Thank you for watching.
It's time! Let's go!